Why does traditional discipline make behavior worse for emotionally intense or neurodiverse children, even when you're consistent and doing everything supposedly right? If consequences, timeouts, or lectures escalate meltdowns instead of improving behavior, this episode explains what's really happening inside your child's nervous system and why discipline often backfires. Are you overwhelmed by constant meltdowns, defiance, or challenging behaviors? Are you longing for peace in your home? You're in the right spot. I'm Jamie, mom of 7, counselor, parent coach, and wrangler of big emotions. I've learned how to calm the chaos and build connection, even when things feel like they're falling apart. If you're looking to connect with your child, find effective parenting tools that honor your family values, and understand your child's unique wiring, you found it here. So pour that coffee, find a quiet spot if you have one of those in your house, and let's get started. All right, today we're talking about something that can feel a little uncomfortable at first, but incredibly freeing once it really clicks. When parents hear the words traditional discipline, most of us picture something like scolding, lecturing, timeouts, consequences, maybe sticker charts, loss of privileges, informing a child you knew better, demanding apologies, or reasoning with a child until we're blue in the face, trying to convince them we're right. And here's the thing. Most of us didn't come up with these approaches on our own. This is how many of us were parented. Maybe you've watched other families and seen it modeled. It might even be that this is what we were taught discipline was supposed to look like. And usually, right before we discipline, we're not calm or neutral. Instead, we're feeling stressed, angry, embarrassed, pressured to respond fast, worried about what others think, and desperate to just regain control in the moment. So if that's you, I want to say this clearly right up front. This episode is not about blaming you. And it's not about saying discipline is bad. It's about understanding why what we were taught to do often makes things worse when we're dealing with emotionally intense, neurodiverse, and uniquely wired kids, and what needs to shift instead. At the heart of traditional discipline is a belief most parents don't even realize they're carrying. The belief sounds something like this: if I hold the line firmly enough, or if I impose consequences consistently enough, or if I make the outcome uncomfortable enough, my child will stop doing the behavior and learn not to repeat it. Control, compliance, fear of repeating the mistake, and unfortunately for some, maybe even fear of what you will do or how you'll respond. That's the model that many of us unfortunately inherited. The problem is, this approach assumes a child is regulated, thinking clearly, and capable of connecting cause and effect in the moment. And for emotionally intense or neurodiverse kids, that assumption just simply doesn't hold true. For many uniquely wired kids, traditional discipline breaks down for several reasons. First, it triggers their threat response. When emotions are already high, discipline piles stress on top of stress. Second, it requires regulation in order to work. But discipline is often applied because of or when regulation is already missing. Third, it ignores what the child is actually experiencing: sensory overload, emotional flooding, impulse control challenges, executive functioning struggles. In those moments, the child's brain is not online enough to reason logically. to link past behavior with current consequences, or learn a lesson the way we expect. And when discipline is applied during dysregulation, the child doesn't just feel corrected. They feel threat, shame, fear, uncertainty, power struggle, and maybe even complete shutdown. Their nervous system moves into fight, flight, or freeze. Fight can look like yelling, arguing, hitting, verbal or physical aggression. Flight can look like running away, hiding, or shutting down. Freeze can look like silence, refusal, or what oftentimes gets labeled as defiance. But underneath those behaviors isn't disrespect, it's fear, overwhelm, and a body that's trying to protect itself. It's doing what it's actually supposed to do when it comes under threat. And here's where this really matters. We often expect kids to communicate emotions they don't have words for, advocate for needs they don't understand yet, control impulses when they aren't regulated, show flexibility when they're overwhelmed, take perspective when their brain can't access it. We're asking for skills that haven't been learned, practiced, or mastered, maybe even never explained in simple terms. And when we expect regulation before regulation is possible, the cost is high. Our child feels like they're always failing. We feel ineffective and frustrated. And the connection that we need to function as a team begins to fracture. Trust erodes, communication shuts down, and our child becomes less likely to bring emotions to us right when they need us and our support the most. Now, I want to pause here for just a moment. If you're listening and thinking, okay, this explains so much, but I don't actually know how to do this differently, I want you to know you're not alone. That's exactly why I created the Calm Connection Parent Coaching Program. Not to ask you to work harder, but to help you step back and work smarter and calmer. So I'd like to share this. You know you need to learn effective ways to handle your child's big emotions and challenging behaviors. But it feels like it's going to take so much time, money, and energy that you just don't have. Thankfully, that's not the case. The Calm Connection Parent Coaching Program will show you how to understand your child's wiring, calm the intense emotions, and manage those challenging behaviors with simple tools that actually work. Think of it as your shortcut. No more endless hours of research, expensive appointments, or sleepless nights worrying if things will ever get better. This is just what you've been waiting for, and quite possibly the answer to your prayers. Let's arm you with the best tools to help you parent your child to be all they were created to be. Join me at calmconnectionparent.com. And let's get you back to the peaceful, loving, joy-filled family life you imagined. It's easier than you think, and you don't have to do it alone. Learning a new approach takes support, especially when it's different from how you were raised, different from what people around you are doing, and different from all the unsolicited advice you hear, like, well, I wouldn't let them get away with that, or you just need to be more strict. Coaching gives you a structure, guidance, and practice while you're learning. You can find all the details in the show notes or at calmconnectionparenting.org, where you can take the emotional forecast quiz and learn your next steps. All right, let's talk more about discipline. Sometimes I think discipline gets a real negative rap. And I think we might need to reframe the way that we think about discipline. Discipline doesn't have to mean control or punishment. Discipline done well is constructive, nurturing, teaching, mentoring, compassionate, and effective. At its best, I like to think about discipline like discipling or helping a child grow toward self-discipline. That means regulation first, connection over correction, and timing that matches what your child's nervous system can handle. Instead of asking, how do I stop this behavior? We begin asking, what is my child's nervous system capable of right now? And how can I help? That single shift can change so much. I want to share a story that illustrates this beautifully. I worked with a mom in the parenting program whose child used to bite her when she became dysregulated. This mom had bruises, real ones, from trying to manage her child's overwhelming meltdowns that sometimes would eat up hours in a day. As they learned new tools, the focus shifted from stopping behavior to creating safety. And within just the first couple weeks of being in this parenting program, they started seeing changes when they applied the tools we discussed. One day, during a moment of distress, her child crawled under a table. And instead of lashing out at her mom, she slowly stuck one arm out, reaching for her mom. That wasn't a child being controlled. That was a child who finally trusted someone was on her team. That's what changes when discipline becomes supportive instead of threatening. I want you to remember, understanding emotional dysregulation changes everything. It shifts frustration into curiosity. It shifts conflict into connection. And it reminds us that our children aren't giving us a hard time, they're having a hard time. As we get ready to move into our quick win for the week, I have something super special to share with you. Because of you, this podcast just crossed a big milestone for 10,000 downloads. And not only that, we've officially moved into the top 3% of podcasts globally. The conversations we're having about emotional dysregulation, meltdowns, ADHD, DMDD, and parenting uniquely wired children are reaching families in nearly 1,600 cities across more than 75 countries. That absolutely blows me away. And the best part, it means parents who once felt alone are finding the support, clarity, and encouragement that they need. So I couldn't do this alone. Let's celebrate. We're doing something fun inside the Calm Connection Parenting Facebook group. We're giving away a Calm Connection Parenting Care Package valued at over $50. If you'd like to enter, here's how. Follow the Calm Connection Parenting podcast, share an episode, or write a review. Then hop into that Facebook group and comment on the giveaway post. You'll receive one entry for each action you take. So, theoretically, if you follow, share, and write a review, you could get 3 entries. Just comment which of the actions you do, and I will put your name in the drawing that many times. Thank you so much for helping spread this message so no parent has to feel alone. And truly, thank you for being here. Let's keep building calm, confident connection together. Now, moving on, here's your quick win for the week. This one is reflective and very doable. This week, notice where you might be thinking about discipline backwards. Ask yourself, what do I need to stop doing, and write it down. Then ask yourself, what do I want to do instead? Now remember, we're not shooting for perfection, just awareness. Because discipline isn't about being heavy-handed. When done well, it's loving, constructive, and helps kids grow into self-discipline, not fear. Discipline, done well, helps a child see how to make right what went wrong or what they did wrong. And it allows them to choose the course to do it. And this is the path to self-discipline. If today stirred something in you, maybe a little relief, clarity, it might even be a little sadness or grief, that makes sense. Letting go of old approaches isn't easy, especially when they're all we experienced or were taught. And when we can start doubting ourselves and feel a little bit guilty, but we know we were doing the best we could. You were. And now you can gain some new tools to do it differently. And here's what I want you to remember. Timing matters. Regulation matters. And connection is the foundation everything else rests on. Some of you may be wondering why your child seems to hold it together all day at school, but then falls apart at home. You might be asking, why do they work better for their teacher than for me? Well, there's a reason for that, and it's incredibly common. In our next episode, we're going to talk about why after-school hours and activities can feel so difficult. You'll hear about something called after-school restraint collapse. And once you understand it, so many struggles might start to make sense. You're not doing this wrong. You're learning a different way. One that's rooted in understanding, timing, and connection. And that kind of parenting can change lives. I hope today's episode gave you a breath of fresh air, maybe a bit of hope too. If this encouraged you, would you please take a moment to follow and leave a quick review? It helps this much-needed message of calm and connection reach more families. And if you're looking for additional resources, be sure to visit calmconnectionparenting.org and check out the podcast tab. There you'll find a variety of free resources waiting just for you. Until next week's episode, take a deep breath, grab that fresh cup of coffee, and remember, you've got this. And on the days you don't, well, we're in it together.